Hello, welcome back to the Bourbon Note. I'm Greg.
I'm Ben.
And today, we got a surprise bourbon. All right, Ben, I know nothing about what you're about to show the viewers, and let me taste. What do we got?
It's a cool one. It's an interesting one. Bam. So this is Savage & Cooke's Burning Chair. I don't know which way to face this bottle.
Yeah, it's on the side.
Because it's kind of on the corner here.
Yeah, that's an odd little presentation.
Yeah, so what's unique about this, two things. A, this is a store pick, and I'll get into that in a second, what makes that different from a normal one.
Yep.
But what this is it's a sourced bourbon, I'm guessing, because it says distilled in Indiana, so you probably guess where that comes from.
Yep.
A little MGP action.
Yep.
And then it's basically finished in 3 separate wine casks and then blended together.
Yeah.
So the casks that they finish these in are Cabernet, Grenache, and Zinfandel.
Nice.
So yeah, in this particular one, so what separates the store picks from the regular release, because they do have a main release of this that's, you know,
Sure.
the regular one.
Yep.
It's almost kind of similar to how Maker's Mark has regular Maker's Mark, and then they have the private selects where you can choose your own unique profile.
Choose your own adventure.
Kind of the same thing here's a little bit. You can choose what proof point you want to release this at. This happens to be cask strength. So it's at 113 proof.
Nice.
And the normal release is not. It's at I think it's at like a 90-ish or so. I don't know what it is, but I know it's a sub 100 proof, I believe. And then what you can do is you can choose the ratio of each barrel finished bourbon.
The cabs and Grenache.
Yeah, so you can choose how much of each, or if maybe you don't want one of them, or you want, you know, 33, 33, 33 and some change. You could do that. This one happens to be 60% Cabernet, 30% Grenache, and 10% Zinfandel.
Okay.
And again, bottled at cask strength. So, well, it is kind of weird to do a video on a bourbon that's essentially only available in your area.
That's okay.
It's cool because these are available other store picks.
Yeah, it'll just be a slightly different blend.
Yeah, it'll be a slightly different blend, or, you know, who knows, maybe somebody did have the same blend, and maybe at cask strength, may not be.
Yep.
But just kind of cool to just start to dip the toes into exploring this line.
Yeah.
So, odd glass cork.
That is odd.
I mean, that falls in the category of synthetic cork in the sense that it's not made out of cork.
But glass is a natural material.
Yeah, it's glass, and it's got like a little rubber stopper there, which was weird when I opened this. So I opened this bottle because the person at the store that sold this to me, he's the manager, named Chris, out in Clearwater at Coburn's, so go say hi, buy some bourbon.
Hi, Chris.
Told me that this particular bottle is nice with a little bit of opening up. So you have the neck pour, let it sit for a day, then he said it really kind of just opens up nicely. So took him at his word, and so I've already opened this up and tasted it.
Okay. For those of you at home, we're curious what you think about the whole neck pour and whether you should actually do a neck pour and then try again. So let us know down in the comments right below the like button.
Yeah, it's and I wonder if that varies from bourbon to bourbon, like if some of them are just more susceptible to that.
Yeah.
Weird glass cork. This bottle definitely shows all the spillage.
Spillage.
You know?
It's a waste.
Yeah, all the bourbon. You know, I'm just gonna aim the corner of this bottle towards the camera.
Feels like I don't know, it's weird. Like the name is here.
Yeah. Well, there's a picture of what I don't think I would have figured out was a burning chair, but I'm assuming that's what it is.
Modern art at its best.
Yes. So I believe these guys do their own wine, and so I believe it's their own wine cask that they finished this.
That's awesome.
And it's a 4-year bourbon, I read on the internet, so it has to be true.
Definitely.
So.
And we mentioned previously in tasting other wine finished bourbons, sometimes there's a theory that they take a bad bourbon and they fix it or try to help it by putting it in a wine cask.
Yeah, try to save it.
Yeah, and
or maybe just a really low-aged.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
or not necessarily fixed, but add more interest to a really boring bourbon. Believe it or not, there is such a thing. It's hard to find, but I'm curious how this is going to come across because it should be interesting.
Yeah.
It's some really good wine, so I'm jumping in. On the nose, I get a lot of wine notes, where on other finished bourbons, I don't necessarily get like individual grape notes.
See, I almost kind of get the opposite. Like I feel like the wine notes are definitely there, but I think on other ones, you know, we've done some that are like 80 proofers.
Yeah.
And like we were just saying, maybe sometimes the wine is there to help the bourbon.
Yeah.
So I almost feel like it's a weaker bourbon underneath that doesn't hold the wine up. Like the bourbon doesn't stand on its own enough.
Okay.
I feel like the bourbon in this stands on its own because it's there. Like you can tell that this is a good bourbon.
Hopefully.
Underneath the wine notes.
Sure.
You know? Because you can still get those nice bourbon notes, but there's some sort of like a light, fruity sort of.
So I get like a lot of acidic red wine notes, which is an interesting pairing because that doesn't seem to be a natural fit with bourbon, but it actually smells really good.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to this.
All right, let's get into it here.
Totally.
It's an interesting mix of those wine notes.
I have a thought
Okay.
that we did a review of a product a while back, and if I didn't know any better, that's what I would think I was drinking. But anyway, but to answer a previous comment I made, just to close the book on that, this is not a bad bourbon that's been saved by wine.
Right.
This is a good bourbon, a great bourbon that's been finished in wine casks.
Yeah, that's just kind of working well with the wine.
Yeah, exactly. It is a really good pairing.
Yeah, it is. It's really rich. Like I was saying, like the bourbon in this holds up to the wine. Like you can pick bourbon out of this, and you can pick wine notes out of it.
Yes.
But I think like the wine notes that I'm getting are like really, there's almost like a bit of almost like a citrus influence to it, which I know is not typical red wine note, but I don't know what the Zinfandel or...
Zinfandel is kind of a punchy. It's got a tang to it, and I think I picked that out.
Yeah, yeah. But it's almost like a light and refreshing fruity sort of thing. Just kind of balanced right on top of that
You
bourbon.
get that tang, and then you put it on top of vanilla and oak spice.
Yeah.
It really accentuates, and there's a lot going on there.
Yeah, yeah, because I'm still able to pull like the really, really nice bourbon flavors out of that.
Yep.
But there's just like some other stuff just kind of dancing on the top of it that just works really, really well together.
The vanilla in this is almost metallic. There's a little bit of a metallic type flavor, which sometimes is off-putting, but in this case it's balanced, it's restrained, but it's definitely on the...
Here's a weird way to describe some of the notes in this. It's kind of shiny. Is that what you mean by metallic?
That's what I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you meant like metallic tasting, like metal in your mouth.
Well, not the band.
Yeah. But no, like that's what I kind of meant by like there's a brightness to it. Like it's deep, rich bourbon notes with like this bright kind of wine influence on top of it. It's just, I really like it. The proof is perfect. At 113, it doesn't have too sharp of a bite, but it's got a nice bite to it.
So if this were a guitar string, which guitar string would this be?
Oh, geez. Probably G, maybe.
Yeah, I was thinking that. Yeah.
Because it's, you know, it's thick enough but thin enough. And when I say thin, I mean like bright and shiny.
Yep.
But I feel like if it's at a higher string, higher pitch string, then you kind of taking out that deep richness to it, you know?
Right.
You're not going to do that for every review we do, are you? 'Cause
No.
I'm not going to be able to come up with an answer for every bourbon. Some of them are definitely that low E, some of them are definitely that high E, you know? Non-guitar players are bored at this point. Yeah, that's really good. I mean, that's just like sometimes you get interesting different bourbons, because this is an interesting concept to mix different wine casks and blend them together.
Right.
And sometimes you get those ones where it's like, it's interesting and unique and it's good, but it's not something I would go to every day if I wanted to just have a nice bourbon. This I would go to anytime.
Yeah, this feels like one of the better bourbons I've had that's been modified, because the wine is definitely noticeable, but it's added to the bourbon.
Yes. It's not like bourbon was added to wine or
Exactly.
something like that.
Well, let's try that. Well,
Yeah.
I guess maybe that's what they did, but it sure worked out.
Yeah, so this is just a really, really well balanced, really nice. So if you have these in your area,
Well, if you see a burning chair at all, well, burning chair whiskey,
yeah, burning chair bourbon,
distillery, whatever it is.
yeah.
You should actually
try
know the
it out.
name.
And so now I'm interested in actually trying just the regular distillery, non-store pick release.
Savage and Cooke. If you see a Savage and Cooke product, buy it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they've got some other ones. They've got a rye, they've got a bourbon.
Okay.
They've got I'm not sure what else they've got. They've got a couple of like high-end ones. Like,
Are they all under the burning chair label, or
No,
is
they
that
have-
just kind of this
Yeah,
line?
that's just this line. I can't remember what the other ones are called. There's a couple other bottles that look like this. There's one that wears like a Christmas sweater. Have you seen that one on the shelf?
I have seen that one.
Yeah, and I can't remember
ignored
which that one is. And then they have a couple of older ones. They have ones called Guero. It's like $220 or something like that. So I had no
Heard of
idea
that
what
one.
it was. Yeah, it's like a 14-year-old bourbon.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, but it's a high price point.
Yep.
But anyway, yeah, I would like to try the regular burning chair and just see what the main distillery release is like, because
Sure.
I'm sure they spent a lot of time perfecting the blend. It's not cask strength, which,
Yep.
will fall off a little bit from this, but yeah, if you see this in your area and you've got a store pick, it'll be the same 3 bourbons, but it might be a completely different blend. So you might get a
Different profile.
a different profile, and that's fun to do. So I would recommend trying this out, especially if you see a cask strength one.
Totally.
Here, this one was about $78 pre-tax. I think the regular burning chair is around 50.
Okay.
So it's a little higher price point, but I think it's a really, really nice bourbon. It's unique. It's a good bourbon enthusiast or bourbon collector's bourbon,
Totally.
but it's also a good just go-to. It's not like a weird one that you only want once in a while. Like I could drink this all the time.
Yeah, hopefully they stay on the shelves because it's pretty awesome.
I don't think there's a ton left, to be honest.
I'm heading there soon.
Yeah. All right. Well, this has been Savage and Cooke Burning Chair Store Pick on the Bourbon Note. I'm Ben.
I'm Greg. Cheers.